Alright, here's a quick attempt to illustrate this. I figured it was a lot easier and quicker to do this than trying to tab it all out. So, basic voicings for 1625 without using a lot of notes that tend to stay out of the way. First concept is one that probably you've seen before. It's super simple. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking from a full G7 chord, stripping it down to just notes on the D and the G string, and using those. So in this case, a G7 becomes just those two notes. A C9 or a C7 just becomes these two notes. So basically you have a shape that covers your G7, all your 7th chords starting with root note on the low E string looks like this. All your 7th chord with the root notes here on the A string looks like that. And here we'll walk through the progression. So G7, C7, G7, C7, 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 G7, to the E7, to the A7, to the D7, to the G7, and the turnaround. So that's a really ultra simplified version of what you saw tabbed out. From there you can take the concept and you can extend to the next string. So rather than just using the D and the G, use the D, G, and the B. So, and depending on what the shapes you use, you can get some really simple ones. So here's a simple G7 for the one chord. Here is a C9, which is coming from here. And all I'm doing is I'm pulling out these three notes. One thing to note is it works a lot easier for voicings if you pluck them with some element of hybrid picking rather than strum. Strumming goes as opposed to where I'm just plucking and grabbing. So for what it's worth, you can experiment with strumming versus plucking the notes. It helps. So anyway, G7, C9, G7, C9, C9, G7. Now we go to this shape. So this again is your E7. Coming from there, just taking the upper three notes. So we went G7, E7, A7, D7. And you can also substitute the 9th form as opposed to the 7th. So you can go. So that same concept if I went G7 to E9, A7, D7. So basically you can play around with different voice leadings about how you want to experiment with that. But so again, simple concepts, you know. So the half step move. That was what was illustrated as one of the walk downs in the Boz Scaggs you just saw. So they think they did it with 13th, so that voicing. Here's an alternate way to do that same thing. Anyway, I'll try and stop it for now. You get the point. Hopefully that gets you somewhere. Bye.